Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title, we got a doozy of a video here today. We're talking about LeBron James and James Harden swap. This will never happen. I highly doubt this will ever happen. I don't think LeBron James, to be quite honest with you, I don't think he ever leaves LA unless Bronny J comes into the league and, he gets drafted by a team not in LA. I think LeBron's sticking in Los Angeles. James Harden is interesting. I don't really think James Harden is going to remain in Philadelphia for too much longer. If you guys have been watching my channel, I usually have a Rockets flag right there. I have takes on Harden. He's a hell of a basketball player, but at this point in his career, I think he causes and poses more problems than he is worth as far as locker room. Like, he can still play, he can still hoop, but in the locker room, I don't really think he's all that helpful. I really don't think he's all that helpful. So we actually have a trade here today. But before we get into it, hit the like button, hit that sub button. Apologize, man. I haven't made a video in a couple of days. YouTube shut down my monetization on all my channels because this channel was flagged for some reason, which is pretty ridiculous here because, like 99% of these videos are my face. Got hit for reused content. I gotta send an appeal, and while I'll never stop making YouTube videos, if I can not make money from it, it definitely would probably slow down my grind to like one video a day. So appreciate all the love you guys have been giving me. I'll never disappear, but the last couple of days haven't been the most exciting as far as that goes, especially with I graduate college tomorrow. It's unideal, man. I got like 10 YouTube accounts. Check them out down below. And it was tough news to be hit with, but here we are. We're out here. So in this trade, Philadelphia receives LeBron James, and Los Angeles receives James Harden, Matisse Thybulle, and a 2022 first-round pick. Now, I got this trade from Mock Trades on Instagram. Real quick, what I have to say about this trade is I think if this were to actually go down, I don't imagine a 2022 first-round draft pick headed to LA would be a part of the deal. That seems more like a middle, like, you're not really, from Philly's perspective, from LA's perspective, like, I don't really know what a 2022 first-round draft pick does for me. Keep in mind they might be able to use that to trade away a guy like Russell Westbrook, but basically, I think more likely in this trade scenario, you would have a guy like Tobias Harris get shipped off to Philadelphia rather than a 2022 first-round draft pick. But if this trade were to actually split, looking at the projected, looking at the projected starting lineups, it's pretty enticing, man. It's pretty enticing. I don't really like making outlandish trade videos like this, but it's not that crazy. It's really not that crazy. So basically, the Los Angeles Lakers would look like this. You'd have, at the time of this recording, if a trade were to actually happen right now, obviously it can't because of playoffs, but this is a hypothetical video we're talking about here. You'd have Russell Westbrook and James Harden reunited. So that'd be your 1-2 duo. And as a Rockets guy, that's actually kind of enticing. Russ had his best, maybe not like the best season of his career because this is like an MVP we're talking about here, but he went 27-7-7 in his tenure with the Rockets. Like, no one's complaining with that. So it is kind of interesting to kind of fantasize about the possibility of a Russell Westbrook, James Harden reunion. Now, what really causes issues is the playoffs. Longevity, Russ and Harden is not going to work. It's really not going to work. I don't think Russell Westbrook can be played. I honestly just don't think Russell Westbrook will ever win a championship unless he changes the way he plays basketball. But Russ and Harden in the regular season, the two of them would absolutely feast. You'd see them for a couple of minutes. Probably one of them would get subbed out, hold it down for the first quarter, second quarter, guy gets subbed out, the other one gets subbed in, they run it till the end of the second quarter. You get what I'm saying. It's just exactly what happened in Houston, where you have Russ and Harden dominating together, and then you have Russ dominating and Harden dominating, and it combines, and it's like, oh shit, that's a good basketball team. If you don't remember, in the bubble, the Rockets actually won with Russell Westbrook and Harden. They actually won game one against the Los Angeles Lakers when they played them. They did take the Thunder with Chris Paul to game 7, but it's still food for thought. So number 3, you're probably looking at Carmelo Anthony. I don't know if that would be long. I don't know how realistic that would be because Melo can't play defense at this point in his career. Neither can Russ. Neither can Harden. So I highly doubt Carmelo Anthony would be like the set in stone third dude. In fact, I don't see a world where that actually happens. To me, he's definitely more poised for a bench role where you're giving him 20 to 25 minutes where he can just kind of do his thing offensively, and defensively it's not going to be the end of the world because he's not, starting. Number 4, you have Anthony Davison. We go back to, man, as a Rockets guy, this gets me hyped up thinking about the possibility of Harden and AD playing together, because what essentially would happen is, like, I know Joel Embiid is really good as well, but I think AD is a better lob threat than Joel Embiid, better defender. But basically, when Harden and Christian Wood played however many games they played together, they looked really good. I mean, the lob was there, just another offensive piece to have. Like, Harden and Wood were absolutely cooking in their very short tenure together. Like, game 1, Harden dropped 44 points and 17 assists. Not this season, but last season when he was still with Houston. The dude dropped 44 and 17 in the opening night. Christian Wood dropped 30 points. Keep in mind, at the time, Christian Wood was a dude who had started maybe 15 games in his NBA career, which had been like 6 years, because no team had given him an opportunity or what have you. But, like, not too many people knew about Christian Wood. He was fresh out of Detroit from the Pistons, where he got an opportunity, but it wasn't that long. It wasn't long of an opportunity. It was like a quarter of a season. And so he comes to Houston to play with James Harden, and the two of them cooked ass in the first game they played together. So that's what gets me hyped about a possible Harden and Anthony Davis duo. The 5 spot, they got Dwight Howard here. There's no way that happens. If Dwight Howard is your starting 5 next season, I have bad news, Lakers fans. That is not going to happen, though, so that's the good news. Looking at Philadelphia, like I said, I think Tobias would have to get traded in this situation, because I get LeBron's at a later point in his career, but still can hoop. But basically, you'd be looking at Matisse, Danny Green, LeBron, Tobias, Joel. That's a phenomenal basketball team. I mean, that is just quite literally a phenomenal basketball team. One of the reasons I don't see this happening is because essentially the Lakers would be choosing Russ over LeBron. Not going to happen. But, just for thought, just for the hypothetical purposes, let's look into it. Tyrese Maxey is one of the most interesting and intriguing young players in the entire NBA. So, giving him the starting spot, kind of still starting right now, but giving him full reign over the point guard position long term would be absolutely money. I still think he'd be able to do enough to help LeBron James, Joel Embiid get to the championship. Danny Red's interesting to me because, I'm not a huge Danny Red fan, to be quite honest with you. Like, a couple of seasons ago, yes. But I think at this point in his career, his time starting is done. I know that's kind of a hot take, but, still non-biased with a non-biased take here. It's not a bad shooting guard to have, but I do think they would try to upgrade it, or at least get a little bit deeper at that position if this trade were to go down. LeBron at the 3 kind of speaks for himself. You got Tobias at the 4, who pretty consistent, almost 20-point per game scorer. You look at the playoffs, Tobias Harris pretty much cooks. You're kind of starting to see it. What sucks is Joel Embiid's injured right now at this point in time in the playoffs. They're down 2-0 to the Miami Heat, but, like, Tobias Harris is a dog, man. He's a dog. He's not a first option. He's not a second option. But if you put him on this squad where he's the 4th option, kind of right now in Philly, he's the 3rd guy. I guess he kind of splits that with Tyrese, but the thinking is Tyrese would be number 3. As far as scoring goes, you would probably have Joel at number 1 and LeBron at number 2. And then you got Tobias in there. Like, that's a scary-ass lineup, man. You can't tell me that Tyrese Maxey, Danny Green, LeBron, Tobias, and Joel Embiid is not at least an intriguing lineup in your head. You can't tell me otherwise, because that is as good as it gets. I mean, that is lethal right there. I would be so intrigued to see how LeBron James would play with a dominant center such as Joel Embiid, which he's never had in his entire NBA career. So, you know, as crazy as this trade may seem, if a Harden trade were to happen, if a LeBron trade were to happen, like, if either of those were to happen, it's not all that far-fetched. You know what I'm saying? It's not that far-fetched. So it's interesting. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Hit that like button, hit that sub button as always. And yeah, see you guys later.